there, and welcome to the Animag podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3 of the Animag podcast. It's your host Asylum, sitting here with Thomicus.
What's up, everybody?
I love how you always have this extreme, delayed hey whenever I introduce you. I'm gonna start editing a drum roll in while we wait for you to say hi.
I think for the next one, I'm gonna just let it sit there so the drum roll can go a little bit.
Just see how long it can actually fucking go. Welcome back, guys. Episode 3, we fucking made it. Thank God. I'm gonna tell you, I'm not looking forward to doing this podcast, but the thing that excites me is that it's finally over.
Yes.
It's not that this was a bad show. Yeah, it was. Okay, if you had to describe it in one word, what would your word be?
Alright.
Alright? I was gonna say mediocre.
Yeah, there was some parts in the show that was like, ugh. And it was like not pertaining to the theme of the anime, but like there's one highlight that I love.
I'll say 80% of the show was meh. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, we're doing this is a review episode for Masamune Kun's Revenge, the show that y'all recommended and we picked. And I'm starting to question if we should ever pick one of your recommendations ever again.
Maybe we should we'll definitely randomize the thing to draw.
We'll do it. We'll still pick y'all suggestions. Just this one, I got my hopes up for.
To be honest, the title should have been something else.
Yeah, it should have been something completely different. We'll definitely get into it. When you read the description of the show, you start to think like, wow, this is going to be a really well-written show, because with a plot like this, they could do a lot in the anime world, and they missed, you know when you're like hammering a nail into a board? They just completely missed the fucking nail.
And then they just start throwing random shit in there, because most of it felt like fillers.
Filler. Like, half of the show was filler. It wasn't until, episode 5 that I was jazzed up. Let's dive in so we don't have to fucking backtrack and end up there. So, obviously, your main character is Masamune Makabe. He used to be a fat kid. And now he is a health-conscious nut. Like, he doesn't like to eat foods and that'll make him fat, and he's always working out. He kind of self-labels himself as, the hot guy on campus now, because he is really physically fit.
Yes, and another thing is, if he does eat something, he will do his best to work it out.
This dude, he looked at a fried shrimp later in the episode, in the season, and he's like, wow, that's one fried shrimp. That's 500 sit-ups. Like, okay, you're a little fucking crazy at this point. But it's because he was teased really bad as a kid, so now that he is fit, he really does want to stay fit. Because with the theme and the name of the show, he's trying to get revenge on a girl, Miss Aki Aragaki.
The cruel princess, aka the cruel bitch.
And you meet her right away in season 1, and you meet her because he's going to this new school, and the first time you ever see her, this crazy bitch is on top of the school.
Humiliating, I want to say Shigeru or something like
that. I didn't take his name down. I just put, at the time, he was the hottest guy in school, and she was fucking she had a whole banner made, probably from Vistaprint.com. She printed out a banner. What did it say? It was his nickname or some shit?
Molio. And the reason why he got rejected was because of, I guess, a gender swap manga that he would read or something like that. And he had this mole by his neck that was growing hair.
Yeah.
So that's why he gave the nickname Molio to him.
Yeah, so off the bat, you can see that she's just kind of a bitch, because she hung the banner with his nickname Molio off the school in front of everybody. And
everybody's calling her the cruel princess. Exactly. Nah, there's nothing sweet about her.
And Masamune's not going to realize who she is up until they're in class. And he actually does realize, and he thinks in his head, he goes, wow, I never thought it would be this easy to find her after all these years. So he has been actively searching for her because he wants that revenge. She gave him a nickname. Yes. She called him Pig's Foot when they were kids. We're gonna have to get into that because that part confused me. She's sad about him going away as a kid, but then she sent him away by calling him Pig's Foot. This show does that. They have some areas where it's just not clear.
It confuses the fuck out of you.
It really does. Oh, before we get too far, what do you think about the intro for this? The intro song for this show?
The intro was good, but I said in my put in my notes, I was like, it would not stick in my head. But
Dude,
as I was listening to it throughout the show, I started liking it. But it wasn't as great as Rent a Girlfriend's opening.
Rent a Girlfriend's was good. This one, I'll give it, if I'm rating just the intro song, 4 out of 10. I thought it was trash.
I give it a 6 out of 10.
Dang, dude, this guy loves to rate high. I know what your rating for this show is. I think it's really high. So, later in episode 1, we're still there. He finds out that Aki Aragaki eats a lot, okay? And we talked about this at work, actually. They were never really clear as to why she ate a lot. I know you said it was because, like, she's sad that he went away. Now, I want to clarify, she doesn't realize who he is in present day in the show. He knows who she is. She doesn't know. But I have it written down in my notes. She actually did explain why she eats so much. She says she has hypoglycemia, which is believable because I have hypoglycemia, and if I don't eat, I'll get to a point where I'm gonna pass out. But I mean, for episode 1, they kind of just set it up to where, like, he knows her, she doesn't know him. Some shit happens where this guy nicknamed the Pudding Prince goes to cut her hair off.
I didn't even get his name.
Yeah, me neither.
And the reason why she called him Pudding Prince is because of how he liked her legs. I want to say something like that.
He got jealous of Masamune. And he's like, oh, Aki fucking likes him. So he goes and, like, was going to cut her hair off, and Masamune goes and saves the day. Which I guess kind of helps his plan of trying to get her to like him. Inevitably, he's going to fail because he goes a whole entire season and never gets her to like his ass. But, you know, it slowly helps. Let's just say that this show would get a season 2. Do you think if she ever finds out he is Pig's Foot, that's going to change? You think that would hold any water on how she actually feels about him?
I think so, but Masamune is still gonna try to still get his revenge.
He's gotta try. That's not to say, okay, Aki doesn't know who he is, but her helper knows who he is.
Which that is Yoshino.
Yeah, Yoshino. So at the end of episode 1, he's got a note in his locker, and it literally just says Pig's Foot, which was his nickname given to him as a kid. And you'll learn later down the line that it was Yoshino that wrote that note and put it in his locker. She's like, hey, I know who you are.
But what gets me is how Yoshino figured out who he was and not Aki.
Yeah, see, they never...
How did Aki not pick up on that? If she loved him so much...
Yeah, it's kind of weird that Aki didn't pick up on it, though. You spend all this time with him as a kid, and even though the way the show made it look, you kicked him to the curb. I feel like if I knew someone as a child and I saw them later in life, even if they had a whole, like, body transformation, I'd still be like, shit, I think I know you.
Yeah.
And Yoshino picked it up fast.
Yoshino picked it up fast. Neko picked it up fast, but we're gonna talk more about her later on.
Yeah, Neko's gonna be our star here. What we're really gonna talk about.
Yeah, because everything with her, I loved.
And here's the thing about Masamune, his last name is different versus when Aki knew him, because he did get adopted by his grandpa and changed his last name. So maybe that fucking did it for him. I find it hard to believe that just a last name change is enough for you to be like, oh, I don't know you.
Oh, you look familiar. Oh, wait, no, it can't be. Your last name is that.
Yeah, oh, you got a different last name. And we're also introduced to Futaba around the same time in episode 2, and she's just a class rep, but she does kind of come back and forth in the show a lot.
Yeah.
And she ends up straight up asking Makabe, like, hey, you want to go see a movie with me? And he's just legit like, no, not really interested. Turns around.
My revenge.
Bro, as soon as he turns Futaba down, he turns around and asks Aki if she wants to go see a movie with him. Like, how shitty. Let Futaba walk away or something. He does it in front of her face. And then she's like, well, Aki's like, well, maybe. He's like, can I get your number? She's like, yeah, sure. So she sets up like this scavenger hunt.
No, it wasn't his number.
As an email, maybe?
Email.
She sets up this fucking scavenger hunt. He's all over the school just for him to look at the window, and it's her holding up a sign that says denied. What a bitch! She went all the way outside. Okay, first of all, does this bitch have a deal with Vistaprint.com? How is she printing out all these signs? Number 1. Number 2, like, just tell him no.
We do know that she likes to do everything out in public, and
yeah, that's if you haven't caught on, that's her thing. She's known as being the rude girl. She'll give you a nickname, stuff like that.
Yeah, which Masamune picks up on that because couldn't be her because she likes to make everything public.
Yeah, exactly. About the what? The pig's footnote?
Yeah, about the pig's footnote.
I think he already figured it was Yoshino. I think he caught on pretty fast. Or they might have said it in episode 2 where he finds out it was her. I know like it was revealed to him kind of quickly.
Yeah, he didn't know it was Yoshino because the way she was like clumsy and all that, and he was like, nah, it couldn't be her.
Yeah.
And then like once he falls into like some kind of trap in a park, he finds out that Yoshino was the one that did that.
See, at first I kind of didn't like Yoshino, but the more it went, her character grew on me a little bit. I ended up actually kind of thinking like, alright, she's not bad. Now, I thought she fucked our boy over when she gave him the coffee and he had the shits when they were taking that test.
Oh yeah, that was in episode 3.
That's in 3. You meet Kojiro and everybody in this one.
Yeah, Kojiro, and they did like some kind of bet.
Mm-hmm.
Who had the best test scores. Yeah,
Masamune was tutoring Kojiro, and Aki was tutoring Yoshino, and whoever got the best score on their test would be the winner. What was the prize? Oh, the winner either gets a date or buys lunch for the other person for a year, and for Makabe, that could hurt that could hurt his pockets.
That, and Aki has to give him a nickname, and he has to wear it on his back for the rest of the school year. Until he graduates.
On his shirt.
Kojiro was like, I do the same thing. I will wear an embarrassing nickname behind my back.
She'd probably just fucking get it made at Vistaprint.com.
Probably so.
Like, golly, all the fucking signs this chick's making just to give people nicknames. So she ends up skipping the test day. She was sick. And then, so... He drinks the coffee from Yoshino and just, you think it's from that he gets the shits, but it's not. It's from his mom's food.
Let's cook it.
Like, what?
Was it the eggs? Yeah, I think it was the eggs.
I think it was
his
the
sister
eggs.
Also texted him, and then we find out that
he
failed the test because of that.
Yeah, well, it ends up being a draw. One way or another, like, he failed, and then Aki just didn't show, so it's a draw. So he does buy her food all throughout the show, so I'm guessing that was part of that wager, and they do go on a date. Aki wears this fucking weird cosplay. She gets, like, really embarrassed about it.
And then, the reason why she took it was because Yoshino told Aki that he had some kind of mental issue.
She did! She fucking did. Yeah, because Yoshino's like kind of, I guess, playing both sides during this fucking show. So like she's obviously Aki's helper and whatnot, but she wants to see Masamune get revenge on her. So she's also helping him out. So like she sets the dates up. She does all this like backhanded shit, which kind of makes her like a bad friend and a bad helper.
And then she suggests a movie. They go to the movie. Aki freaking buys out the whole theater. They go to watch it. Aki tells Masamune to not sit close to him.
Not that far.
And then turns out it was a horror movie.
Yeah, why'd she rent out the whole theater? Did they ever freaking say? Was she just trying to be fancy?
I think it was because she didn't want to see
anyone else.
Any classmates see them.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that's the reason why.
I guess he kind of like gets cocky during this part in the show because he starts to come on way too strong. And the whole episode is pretty much spent like with her trying to give his umbrella back and him just being a complete hard ass and just ignoring her and walking past her.
Yeah, did you notice whenever Yoshino is talking to Aki back in Aki's mansion that there's a bunch of umbrellas in the trash can and only Masamune's is out? I
didn't take notes on that, but I did catch that and I was like, It's because she likes him.
About episode 3 is how at the end of the date he was like, "Oh, Yoshino, how did you get her for me to lay on a lap?"
Yeah, right at the end, because obviously what we had said was that Yoshino set up that date and everything. So right at the end of episode 3, he's laying on a bench with his head in Aki's lap, right? So he just figured Yoshino told Aki, like, you know, get a little cute with him or something like that. And he tells Yoshino, he goes, man, that head in the lap thing almost made me fall for her. That's some good work. Yoshino's like, okay.
But I think that's when Aki is starting to have feelings for Masamune.
Yeah, because in 4 where he starts to like be a douche to her because he's ignoring her and all she's trying to do is give his umbrella back, she literally asked him, she goes, what's up with this stuck up act? It's cause she liked him before. She doesn't like this new stuck up attitude he got.
And then he continues to try.
Yeah, because he's like, he realizes that she's like, I don't like this. And he goes, oh, it was just a test, part of the plan all along. And she's like, oh, okay.
He decides to leave a love letter because she asked Masamune why he loves her.
Yeah.
So he decides to do that. And then she rips the paper telling him that he is a very selfish person. I guess she wants it in words instead of a letter.
Yep. Because I think that comes back into play later where she asks him about his feelings and he just says some like lame ass shit and she is not happy about it.
And then she finds out that Masamune and Yoshino have been meeting and she thinks that they are having a thing together.
She sees them at the park or some bullshit and they were like getting together to talk.
Yeah.
And then guess what? Guess what, baby? Best part of the show. We meet Neko.
Yes, at the end of episode 4, but she doesn't introduce herself until next episode.
You just kind of get a glimpse of her in 4. Aki almost gets run over by a car, and it just so happens it's Neko in the car with her driver. Masamune winds up saving her. Well, then Neko runs up, and doesn't she like say his name or yeah, she knew his name like right off the bat.
Masamune was saving Aki. He also tells her that he wouldn't know what to do with himself if something would happen to Aki.
He did say that.
And then they were about to have their moment, and then bam, Neko comes in.
Want to know something that I picked off for this show that like it's kind of nice, but it's also kind of annoying. There's so many spots in it where they wind up having like these real moments where he's giving her his real feelings or some bullshit like that, and it always gets interrupted by something. Every goddamn time, dude. So then we meet Neko. She comes off kind of crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Her first impressions that you're gonna get off of this girl, batshit crazy.
Yeah, and then that pisses off Aki because Masamune really doesn't know who the hell this girl is, but Aki thinks that, oh, this is another girl that he probably met, and is probably still talking.
Probably, I mean, I can see it from Aki's point of view. She feels like Masamune's lying to her. Like, okay, maybe he's playing 2 fences here. He's talking to her low-key and talking to me. Not gonna happen. Because Aki's a super jealous girl. Any little thing that happens, and then, like, she's not the fucking limelight, this girl is pissed, and she is jealous.
Yep, and then, like, the next day, Masamune decides to buy Aki some food to go talk to her some more, but then he gets stopped by Yoshino, who shoots, like, guess these airsoft bullets at him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she was like guarding the door or some bullshit.
Yeah, and instead of talking to Aki, he just left the food out there and just left her alone.
It just blows my mind that how crazy Neko came off when you first meet her. Like, she lied. First of all, even though she's not crazy, she did lie. She did lie and say that she knew Masamune because he gave her a coat like 3 years ago when she was out in the cold. And Masamune is like, bitch, 3 years ago I was still fat. Definitely was not me. And then what happened to where she took off running after him?
Oh, Masamune grabbed her arm and was like, we need to talk. And
right. He drugged her.
And then, and then we find out that she was like, slow down, I can't take this. And then she coughs up blood, and then Masamune is like, oh, are you alright? And then a pack of ketchup falls, and he's like, this bitch.
Yeah. I mean, right here at this point, I'm like, this bitch, here we go. It's another Ruka. This bitch is absolutely crazy. But the ketchup thing kind of gets explained, not in vivid detail, but they say enough to where you kind of understand why she had the ketchup. She has like some kind of issue with seizures and whatnot. And the ketchup has a special acid or some shit in it that's gonna like balance her out when she feels like she's gonna have a seizure. So she was on the verge of having one because he was dragging her kind of hard. So she was sucking on some ketchup. Also probably not good for him to be dragging a girl around school that didn't have any panties on. We can't just overlook that fact.
After the whole ketchup scene, Masamune tells her that he is in love with Aki, and then Neko is like, okay, show me where this girl's at, and then they go to the classroom, and then I guess the window opened up, and then we got to see.
Yeah, the wind blew.
She likes to go commando.
Commando at school. That's fucking ballsy, man. For a girl, she was wearing a skirt. That's not the same as going commando with fucking blue jeans on, bro. They had another scene that they like pointed towards her not wearing underwear where she went to sit on like a bench or some shit and she puts her whole bare ass on it and she has to like get up and fix her skirt so that way her bare ass is not on fucking wood.
Yeah, that's in the next episode.
Like, why? For such a small detail, why do they harp on that so much? You see it twice. That's too much. They could have went without ever putting that in.
Because Aki was going to leave the classroom, and then she was like, oh, why don't you go talk to your commando girlfriend, and then hits a teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they get punished.
Them to go to, I want to say, like a detention or something like that.
Yeah, they have to go clean the pool. It's like, I guess it is like a detention.
Aki was like, oh, don't even bother talking to me. So Masamune grabs the water hose and squirts her. Aki.
I thought that scene was funny when she had the bucket. She goes, okay, so he squirts her and she's like, okay, I'm going to get his ass back. So then she's got a full bucket over her head and she's literally taking like a 2-inch step at a time. And she's like, stay there. I'm going to come wet you. And he's just like, what?
And it falls into the pool. And then
he jumps in to save her.
I can't swim.
Here's my question. You ready for this? Ready for this banger? This is a banger right here. Why does she have a fucking swimsuit on if she can't swim?
Exactly.
You just wear it for fun? Was she lying or like, I got questions, bro. I think she really couldn't swim.
The water was shallow.
Oh yes, cause after he saves her, he goes, she could have just stood up. He was thinking that. Like, yeah. This is where the first like big kiss scene happens.
Aki asks Masamune to prove that he has feelings for her. And Masamune asks, how can he prove that? And she replies with, you could come over and kiss me.
Yeah.
And that ends the episode with a cliffhanger.
You see, that's why I liked this episode so hard. That big cliffhanger at the end. Yeah. That's my kind of shit.
That makes you want to watch another episode.
But here's a spoiler alert. He goes in for the kiss in episode 6, gets uppercutted.
Gets
just
uppercutted
smashes
and all
this
that.
boy. She said, nope. And you want to know, okay, so here's the part after the pool scene, after he gets his fucking lights rocked. This is where Neko starts to seem a little normal to me, because after that, he has a scene with Neko where she's giving him some tea. And she was like, yeah, you were in a cold pool. Or like something about the weather, and she's explaining how this hot tea is going to be really good for his body, and explains that it helps her.
She gives him roasted green tea with pickle plum in it.
Ah.
To help for dehydration.
Yep.
And then she offers him multivitamins and magnesium to help him.
Yeah, so it's right here where she kind of like goes into detail about that shit, the magnesium and all that. And if you put 2 and 2 together, you can figure it out with the ketchup thing. So she wasn't just being weird and sucking on a pack of ketchup. She was doing it to, help her seizure earlier on in the show. Then
we see Masamune was like, if I wouldn't have this revenge, I think I would actually fall in love with her.
Yeah, because now she kind of looks like a rad chick, bro. She's commando at school. She's got some delicious pickle plum tea. Why wouldn't you go for her rather than the girl who's fucking uppercutting you in the pool? 100% would go for her.
And then after that, he asks Neko what she likes about him.
Uh-huh.
And then she replies, because he is so modest, which makes him like, oh shit, that was actually a good answer.
Yeah, he gets real starstruck by her answer.
And then after that scene, we see Yoshino stalking Neko.
She does stalk Neko, true that. I was trying to put it together in my notes because I'm looking at it. I was up to where like they went to his house, but Yoshino does stalk Neko for a while.
She finds out that Yoshino is stalking her, but then gets interrupted by freaking Masamune's mom.
His mom.
It was like, oh, I realized those uniforms. You go to the same Skull, that's my Masamune.
Dude,
And you could come over to my house and help me cook.
the crazy bitch invited them over to his house. This had me blown away.
Masamune was just like, oh, I'm gonna have a peaceful time. I'm gonna be working out at my house. Enters, knows she's cooking, and then bam, sees Yoshino and freaking Neko.
He's got to spend the fucking afternoon or the evening with both of those girls. Which, I mean, granted, I'd say neither of those girls is a bad option to be hanging out with at your house, because at least it's not fucking Aki. At this point, I don't like Aki anymore in the show.
Yeah.
I'm 100% Neko.
Masamune grabs Yoshino, brings her to his room, and started asking, like, why the are y'all here?
Yeah.
And Yoshino tells Masamune the whole story.
Yeah, explains what happened with his mom. Yeah, and doesn't, like, Neko try to go in, and he's like, huh! He, like,
Neko
pushes
goes
her out.
in to go try to find him to tell them that the food is ready. And then he flips out and was like, I didn't tell you to come in my room or anything. I guess he didn't want for her to know about the picture that he has in his room. I
think it's because he had just like his room was messy and he didn't want her to see or some bullshit. Because he like harped on it for a little bit. Which, I mean, she ends up seeing anyways because she does go back in his room and fucking steals the picture you were just talking about. It's a picture of him and Aki as kids. And she took it. Yeah. She just straight up fucking stole that man's shit. Well, then they have like this big firework thing at the end of the night.
Actually, it was the whole firework thing, and then after that, we see Masamune and Yoshino at the, like downstairs. But Neko went change in the bathroom. Then we see Neko come across his room, which that's the part where she takes his picture.
See, like as much as I like her at this point in the show, that's a little crazy to me.
And then after she leaves, Masamune is like, oh, would you mind me walking with you, Yoshino, to, like, maybe a taxi? And as they're walking, Yoshino is like, try not to fall for her spell. Because I think Yoshino is seeing that Masamune is actually falling for her.
I mean, who wouldn't? She's cool as fuck.
And then, of course, at the end of the episode, we see Neko holding a photo of young Masamune and young Aki.
Yep. Stole that bitch. Episode 7, trash.
Episode 7 was basically a freaking
whole filler. You know how, like, okay, they'll put, 10 minutes of filler, get back to the story. No, these motherfuckers put whole episode of a filler. They didn't need it at all. They went to, like, a fucking family resort beach island because summer started.
First, Masamune was going to ask Aki, oh, would you mind coming over here? But then Aki was like, nah, I'm going to my private island that my dad owns, and I'm going to ask Kojiro. But then Kojiro is like, I'm not going unless Masamune comes. And then we see freaking Neko is like, if y'all are going, I'm going. And then the class rep is like, if y'all are going, I'm going. So all of them ended up going.
Fucking everybody got sucked into it.
And of course, you meet Aki's father's secretary.
She's kind of weird because she doesn't like Masamune at first, but I think by the end of it, she was starting to come around. Like when he carried her ass home or whatever. It's like, oh, maybe then, he's not so bad.
When we first see her, she's like, okay, let me see her friends. A boy? And she's like, oh, whispering to Aki, and then we see Kojiro is like, I'm also a guy.
Yeah, I don't think we said anything about Kojiro. Kojiro is a guy, but kind of dresses feminine. So from visual appearance, I did think that he was a girl when I first saw.
Of course, before the opening, Yoshino was like, well, if you don't make Aki fall in love with you,
yeah, I'm
I
not
will
helping
tell her
no more.
everything.
Yeah. I guess that was probably the only hype moment of episode 7.
Hype moment, yeah. Masamune actually mans up and it's like, I'm her boyfriend. And then everybody freaks out. And then Aki decides to play along, as we see throughout the whole episode.
Yep.
That's enough of that episode because we basically went over everything.
Episode, literally from front to back of that whole episode. It's so boring. And already when I got to this point, like in episode 7, I was already like not wanting to watch the show anymore. I was struggling with it. And guess what? I was
like, it gets better. It gets better.
And guess what? It only really got better for like one episode, and then it was downhill again. at episode 10, it was definitely declining hard. I think episode 8 for me was as hype as episode 5, because I think that's when he goes to Neko's house.
Yes, episode 8 is when he finally finds out that his picture is missing.
Neko calls Makabe and asks if he's gonna go to the water park with Futaba, and they wound up like meeting up at her house, and this motherfucker's like, oh, hey, she's like, come on in, I'll make you some tea. He's like, cool, I gotta use the restroom. She's like, alright. Well, instead of going to the restroom, boom, goes right into her room. He's like, you want to steal from me? I'm going to steal from you, bitch. So he's in there. And then
he sees the
manga collection. It was the same manga collection that he had in his room. She wound up like noticing it when she was there and was like, oh shit, now she's rich now, so they have helpers and shit. She got her helper to go buy the entire collection. You know, here's the thing, people. You know how fucking expensive manga is? She made her helper go buy all of those books. That shit had to be at least $1,000.
Yes.
That's fucking batshit crazy.
Yeah, then Neko finds out that he was in his room.
Mm-hmm. He just straight up asked her about the picture. He's like, hey, did you take a picture out of my room? And she's like,
and she admits it and takes it out.
Takes it out of where? Takes it out of where?
I wouldn't say bra because she goes commando.
It was straight up under her titty.
Between the tits.
That's a terrible place to keep a Polaroid picture. It's gonna get all sweaty. It's gonna start falling apart.
It was folded.
Yep, shit gets a little spicy after that too. They end up kissing.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna fuck. I really did. Like, she already ain't got no draws on, homie. He got a little crazy right here. Like, after they kiss and they almost fuck, he's like, I know you don't really care about me. Did you catch that?
Yes, he figures out that she couldn't hide her disparity or some shit like that between her words and her thoughts, and proceeds to tell her that her love for him is a lie, and takes back his photo.
I didn't catch all that. That whole scene, like, cause my brain was already just still stuck on the fact that they should have just banged, you know?
I knew it. I knew it. You were totally like, just bang, bang.
At the point where he says, I know you really don't like me, my brain is still going, why didn't you fuck? Why didn't you fuck?
Shit.
Bro,
you're just like my boy Kazuya. Come on, man.
We're dealing with another case of the pussies, man, where a guy just won't get it in. If y'all are gonna start recommending shows, I want to see these dudes getting it in. When they're at the water park, literally in the next scene after leaving Neko's house, doesn't this dude just looks like complete dog shit in the next scene? Yeah. You could tell he just been through some shit. As
they're enjoying the water park, we see that Aki is focusing on Masamune because Masamune looks like he's not actually enjoying himself.
Yeah, he was having a bad time. Just a lot going through his head, more than likely. I mean, you just come off of that, doing that with Neko, and you're like, God damn.
Yeah, she also notices his behavior.
Oh,
and
fuck.
Then we see Masamune begin to feel guilty about what he did.
I think we jumped a little too hard. We forgot to mention that, like, after he says to Neko, like, I know you really don't like me, he goes to leave, and she asks who are you choosing? Something along those lines, and he's like, it's Aki. And she's like, oh, fuck. He rejects her, basically.
And she's like, so this is how it feels to have your heart broken.
Yes, that's very important. I thought we might need to backtrack to that because, some shit goes down at the water park where you find out this bitch goes missing.
And of course, after the park, we see Neko's helper.
Yes. I had her name written down. I don't remember. I think it started with an S. Really not important because we don't see her enough for her to be a big player.
Then she confronts Masamune, asking, what did he do to Neko? Because she has been missing for several hours. We then find out she suffers with seizures.
But that still just blows my mind. Like, several hours? She could be at work. She could have a secret fucking job for all you know. Several hours to me is not enough time for you to go fucking batshit crazy on people and be like, where is she? Who is this lady, Batman?
And then, of course, at the end of the episode, we find out that Masamune tells her that
he rejected her
for Aki, and that just cuts it. And then, of course, the next episode is the same shit, but nobody gives a about what he just said.
He straight up says it. He's like, yeah, I rejected her because I like Aki Aragaki. And she's standing right there. The whole group of friends is right there. And guess what? Nobody bats a fucking eye. They're like, okay.
And then, like, we see everybody go into the car except for Masamune.
Yep. I think Aki took a shot at Masamune right there, because I think she was kind of, like, still just in shock about everything, because she offered everyone to ride or walk. And she says, y'all can ride with me or y'all can walk with Makabe. And she turns and looks at him and goes, since you already know the way to her apartment. Because, yeah, because during that scene, he had admitted, well, I was at her apartment a few days ago, or like an hour ago or so. And Aki's just like, oh, really? So she took a big shot at him right there.
And then, of course, after that, we see everybody trying to find her. But then we see Masamune going back to school because he realized that maybe this would be the last place she would go. And then we see Aki
shows up there also. Here's
the big question we've been waiting for.
The big question comes up right here.
Masamune asks Aki if pig's foot means anything to you. But before she could reply, she gets interrupted by
paper airplane.
A paper airplane.
Guess where it was coming from?
Hit him in the head.
It's coming from the roof.
And as they go, they see Neko on top of the roof.
I want to say Masamune realizes like what's going on here, because he says, oh, it's just like the scene from book 3 of the manga that they both had. Yeah, like the love romance manga.
It gets to a flashback from when Neko tells him that she had read volume 3 a million times. That was the part where the character from the manga was throwing paper airplanes. They
had love notes on them too.
Love notes. Mm-hmm. And I think for hers it was just "I love you" or something.
I think so. I think they showed one. She also okay, so when they get to her on the roof, bitch just fucking passes out. This is where the show did a poor job of kind of explaining what was happening. Like, yeah, she's sick. I get it, but
maybe way that she didn't take her pills.
It could have been, but the way my brain interpreted that whole scene was that she was trying to kill herself, and I thought maybe she overdosed on some drugs up there and was like about to die.
Yeah, because her helper was like, she hasn't taken any of her medicine because her medicine is back at the apartment.
Yeah, she did say that. That's a good catch.
This was the best part in the whole entire anime.
Yeah, I feel like this was stronger than the actual ending.
This made me want Masamune and Neko to actually ship.
Yeah.
Be together.
Yeah, I think I was down for that long before this part. I think I was down for that when they were in her room, because, like, I had already established that she was kind of a cool chick, down to earth, you know, she's not gonna punch you if you try to kiss her, obviously, because he kissed her. And, like, that's a plus in my book. She likes the same mangas you like. All around, just a better choice.
Basically, they have the same personality.
Yeah. And, like, this dude is so fixated on getting his fucking shitty little revenge that now he's gonna let a good chick go? Yeah, right. I'm going back over to her house when she gets out of that hospital. I'm smashing, bro. But yeah, anyways, they go to the hospital after the roof scene because she passed out. So a lot of shit happens here.
Neko wants to talk to Aki, which we see that, and then we see Masamune begins questioning himself.
Yeah.
Like feeling guilty.
Feeling real guilty.
The right thing to do. And then after Aki leaves, Aki tells
Masamune that he wants to talk to him.
His turn.
Then a lot gets unfolded right here.
Yes. Right at the beginning, Neko tells Masamune that they should talk about the past. And then we find out that she has to go overseas to help her with her sickness, but there might be a chance that she won't be cured.
She asks her grandpa, basically, that before she gets shipped out overseas to have her surgery to get her shit fixed, that he give her at least one little chance to fall in love. And he's like, well, yeah, I guess so. And apparently, according to this goddamn show, Masamune got picked because in their area of the world, it's a custom for rich families to do this. They just take apparently a bunch of pictures of guys who would be suitable quarters, and they just put it in a pile, and you just stick your hand in and pull one out. That's so weird to me.
And then after that whole scene, he asks, how did it feel to fall in love? And she replies with, it was more fun than she can imagine.
But like, dude, the conversation they had in the hospital, him and Neko, gets to this dude. Because when he walks out that bitch, he walks right past Aki. Doesn't say a word.
This is where it almost got me.
Okay.
She then tells him that she will be going far away, and also tells Masamune, thank you for the loving memories. And then after that, we see Aki and Neko's part of the conversation, what they were talking about. And then we also see Neko asking Aki, why do you doubt Masamune's love for you? His motives are true. And then we see Aki beginning to think about giving in to Masamune. That's when we find out that she was in love with him back when they were kids.
That Neko was?
Aki was. Because throughout this whole thing, we thought that she just didn't like him.
Yeah, that part still bothers me because the show does not clarify that situation. Like, she calls him Pig's Foot and all this shit and sends him off as kids. But then as an adult, she's depressed because this kid Pig's Foot left her as a kid. Like, the show did a terrible job at clarifying all that. You didn't think so?
Yeah, it gave like a terrible explanation, but like I guess they were hoping for a season 2, which I don't think there's ever going to be a season 2.
I don't think we're going to see a season 2. We're also talking like this was the end of the season, but it wasn't. There's still like 3 more episodes to go, which I didn't even take notes anymore at this point because like you can just mash all 3 episodes into one because of, again, going back to how much filler they put into this show.
And then like after the whole hospital scene, we see Aki thinking about Masamune and all this and that, and then she gets confronted by this stranger, which he calls himself Masamune.
He said that was a nickname he's had his whole life. I just called the little asshole fatty.
Little asshole fatty.
Little asshole fatty. Cause the only time I referred to him in my notes, I put him down as fatty, but he comes in and he claims to be the authentic Pig's Foot from back in the day. Has a letter from his grandpa saying that him and Aki need to get married, or they're supposed to get married. So she just kind of goes with it because in their culture, that's just how it goes, you know, with arranged marriages and whatnot. So now you just got this little fat asshole walking around with Aki, while the real fucking Masamune's out in the mountains doing like 500 push-ups to get fit again, get his mind back on track.
Yeah.
And then he comes back to school and sees this guy with her, and he's just like, what the fuck? And he's like, Fatty's calling her sweetheart. I hate this guy. I hate the little... And guess what? Spoiler alert, he's not even the real Masamune. He's a fraud.
He's acting like it.
His family, his family's poor. And one way or another, somebody told him, "Oh, you look like this kid," and showed him like a picture.
It was the secretary later.
Oh, right, the secretary from the island showed him and was like, "Yo, wow,
my one-way ticket."
He saw dollar signs because he's like, you know what, I am Masamune.
I am Masamune. How do you?
And like he knows that Aki's fucking out of his league. He tells that to her friends when her friends didn't like him. He's like, look, I'm just here to help my family. Yeah. I ain't gonna kiss the bitch. I ain't gonna do nothing. Yeah,
and then that's leaves Aki's friends liking him more, and then hating actual Masamune.
Hating this dude. I mean,
it really wasn't much to talk about because it was just...
Dude, that's why...
Episode 9, it just gotten so stupid.
Here's the thing for me.
Like, they should have just ended it at episode 9.
They should have ended it at 9, and that leaves plenty of room for a season 2.
Season 2.
I feel like with 10, 11, and 12, they completely rushed it.
Yeah.
Cause like, there's nothing to talk about. The fat kid comes in, he's not actually Masamune, he's just trying to help his family who's poor. They all go to school together, everyone likes the fatty, everyone starts hating the real Masamune. They have a school play that's coming about, and obviously Fatty and the real Masamune are on different sides of there's like two classes that are doing two different plays, and they make like a wager. Whoever's class wins gets to dance with Aki. It's just, it was a real shit show in the last 3 episodes. It's just,
it was like a class 1A and class 1B, or some shit like that.
It's so poorly written, dude.
He was like, if I win, I get to dance with Aki, but if you win, you get to dance with Aki.
Yeah, like, alright, you little fat fuck, why are you excited? You're gonna marry her anyways.
Then, like,
just let me dance with her.
We see Masamune starting to feel sick.
Yeah, he gets like a cold or some shit. So look, here it is. I'll boil it down to you. One way or another, okay? A lot of shit goes down, but I'm gonna simplify it. I don't want to get too into detail, because I do want you to go watch this show, even though it's ass. And tell us what you think. But Fatty's class ends up winning, but not because Fatty was in there. Basically, Class A kidnapped Masamune, the real Masamune, and then Yoshino kidnapped Fatty to help Class B. Well, Masamune gets out, and they still have Fatty locked up, so when the play is about to fail, because it's like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and they're like, we don't have a prince.
And then Aki was like, you know what? The show must go on.
Aki wanted to keep, she didn't want to surrender, basically. She was like, we're gonna just do this fucking play, because I'm not surrendering. So the play was gonna just end with Snow White dying, because there wouldn't be a prince to kiss her. And then guess what? You can all guess it. Masamune comes in as the prince for Class A, actually kisses her.
We see the sickness starting to take in.
Yeah, he like falls on stage. He's sloppy.
And then Yoshino helps him up.
Yeah, she like pushes him towards Aki and shit. And he was supposed to pretend kiss her. Guess what? Really did kiss her.
Yeah.
And then guess what? Gets uppercutted again. That's pretty much the back end of the show. It's so ass.
We just explained, like, what, episode 10, 11, and a little bit of 12 right there.
Yeah.
And, like, after the show, we find out that Class Aki's
B.
Class 1.
Yeah, Class A ends up winning.
We've seen Fatty is like, I could be your prince, and then like
fuck no.
Class rep is like, fuck no.
They did not want his ass to be in their play.
So they decided to do a karaoke, which the class rep song, which I caught on, was actually the intro of Masamune Kun's Revenge, and then Masamune sings the outro, which we hear like the front office get a call, and then he answers, and it's just them like screaming for help, like help us.
It's because this dude can't sing. He's an ass vocalist.
Then he looks at his score and he's like, "Oh man, I should do this. I burned so much calories."
Oh my god, dude! Like, what a fucking shit ending to a show. I hate that.
After that, we see Aki and Masamune together talking on like some kind of bench in a park.
Mm-hmm.
Then after they have their moment, Aki asks Masamune, "How could she make it up to him for the way she was acting towards Masamune?" And Masamune tells her to kiss him, and Aki agrees, but only if he closes his eyes. And then I guess it was an ice cream that she puts in his mouth.
Yeah, she just fucking shoves it in there too. Like, bitch, you could have got this off the ground for all I know.
At the end of the show, we see that there will be a class trip to Paris.
France? Yeah, Paris, France.
Yeah.
I guess they
season 2.
I guess they put that in there for a season 2, but I'm gonna say safely that we probably won't get a season 2.
Yeah, we probably won't. But
and that's literally the end of the season, guys.
That's literally the end. Like episode 7, what was it, 10 and 11 and 12 was kind of like a downgrade.
Did not need it. Here's the thing. Think of it like this. We explained a 12 episode season in probably like an hour. They did not need all the fillers that they put in that show.
If they're gonna end it off like that, then he doesn't get his revenge. So does he? Like, but for the manga, I can understand.
You did say the manga keeps going, so maybe that was the thing. Maybe they just
people that only watch anime, they're gonna be like, okay, what happens next?
Nothing.
When are we gonna
It's a
get
shit
anything
show,
big?
so they don't give a fuck because nobody wants to see a season 2 of this.
I think there was a rumor saying that it was coming back in 2020 or 2021, but due to Corona, change of plans. That's.
Mashad, they're about to
But
miss
to be
their mark.
honest, how they should end this was like, oh, Aki, son, like, freaking Masamune. Oh, Masamune, just cheat on Aki for Neko. There we go. End of story. Bam.
Bro, just grow some fucking balls. Realize that you're the better person. You don't need your fucking shitty revenge, and get with Neko, the chick that's right for you, and her family's fucking loaded. Obviously, they bought 13 manga books in one go. We all know how expensive that is.
Just because of a manga book.
Yeah, dude, she bought a whole entire series in one go. Do you know how expensive that is?
She has the same personality as you.
She's literally perfect for him.
Yeah, and then, no, I gotta do this for my revenge. Fuck your revenge.
So overall, in my book, I'm going to give this a 5.
In my book, I give it a 6.
Give it a 6?
Yeah.
I
would have been
thought you said a
lower.
6.5. I thought you were saying a 6.5 earlier.
Well, after talking about it, I realized.
Yeah, I think
It would have been lower, but the whole part about Neko was the reason why it picked back up.
that one character saved the entire show.
Yes.
If they didn't have that character in there and they just put some other filler bullshit, this would literally be a 1 or a 2 out of 10. So, I mean, the common middle ground will probably be like 5.5, but we'll probably give it a 6 on the site just to be there.
Yeah.
It's a very mediocre show. Watchable, but not something that you're gonna probably remember and recommend to people when they ask for good shit to watch.
What you talking about? The only rememberable thing about this is freaking Neko.
Yeah, I remember that she don't wear panties to school. She sucks ketchup out of the packets. She can buy like 36 mangas with one trip to Barnes and Noble. Like, perfect.
She likes to put your photos between her boobs.
Oh, true that, bro. True that. But yeah, there you have it, guys.
Lay you down in her bed. She likes that kiss. Damn.
I mean, she was probably willing to fuck. I ain't gonna lie, but he wasn't about it because he's hung up on old Aki.
His fucking revenge.
My God, what a pussy.
Yeah, what a pussy.
Once again, our main character is just a straight up pussy.
Pussy.
Well, there you have it, guys. Our review episode of Masamune Kun's Revenge.
Hell yeah.
Please don't ever suggest us any shitty shows like this ever again. We want bangers from now on.
Like, the plot and all that sounded good.
Yeah. They wrote it, I won't say poorly, they wrote it lazily. Because they had more fillers than there were actual plot lines. They took the cheap and lazy way out.
Better in the manga, though.
It probably is better in the manga. I mean, I can imagine things get a little pricey when you're animating shit.
Yeah. Because, like, sometimes the manga is better than the anime, and then sometimes the anime is better than the manga, and then sometimes the manga is and the anime like have different endings, and everything's different.
I'm gonna tell you this much. I ain't gonna be reading that shit. Just like the last time, just throw up some suggestions in the site on the comments or join our Discord and give us suggestions there. Email it to us, animagpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll give it a couple of weeks to breathe, and then we'll go through them and see what we've got.
Yeah,
but like,
we might do a podcast next week.
I mean, yeah, we don't have to just make it all about anime, but
reviews.
Yeah,
they're still probably wondering when the vlog is, though.
Never.
We're gonna have to wait until like a check comes in.
I mean, now I'm about to go buy a PS5. We're gonna have to wait for like 2 checks to come in. Well, we did it, guys. Give us some good reviews. We're gonna try to stay away from like romance type stuff for the next one.
That's all we did.
Yeah, we've done 2 so far, and they've both been romance type shows, and I'm getting burnt out on them. I want something good. Some action. Skate the Infinity, Bible Black, something good, man.
I did hear. Yeah, you did want to watch Skate Infinity, which
I did.
They announced that they are going to be doing a second season.
Okay. I mean, we're not gonna pick it just because I want to watch it, but I can put it in the fucking randomizer that's gonna pick what we'll watch. I'm gonna be really mad if it picks a romance show. But as usual, guys, thanks for listening. We love having y'all comment, and we love seeing all the views that the podcast is getting. It's really rolling pretty good. I mean, better than some people's rival podcasts are going, if, you know, they can stay out of jail. But that's neither here nor there. I have to bleep that out. You can't be promoting shit on this podcast. Now it's bleep. Like, go ahead. Promote your YouTube channel for free. What is it?
Hey guys, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
See, they'll never know. They'll never know what you said because I had to bleep it out.
I'm shouting out your own channel.
I know. He literally shouted my channel, but I'm gonna bleep it because we have our first official rule for this podcast is that we don't shout any other people's shit out.
Or they get.
Oh yeah, they get those. They just get it in editing, so it's not so shitty and live on a soundboard. But thank you guys for listening. We're going to see you guys in the comments and hopefully see you guys in a new episode next week sometime or maybe the week after that. It just depends. You never know. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you later.
Sayonara.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to visit our website at www.animag.org. See you next time.